Hello, I'm Wendy Wilson, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Realizing Potential. Today in the studio, I have a colleague who she and I worked together at what was Darton State College, now Albany State University. I've always respected her passion and her commitment to her role. She always connects with a unique demographic that she works with, and that's very, very important. And so I could go on and on about her, but I want you to hear about what she's been able to do for Albany State University and what her career path is like. She's none other than Miss Stefane Raulerson. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank
Good,
you.
good. Thank you for joining me today. We were going back and forth, and I don't know why I assumed you were from Albany, but you said you were a native of Tifton, which is just right down the road. Yeah, share with our viewers a little bit about your background as it relates to your academic pursuits, what institutions you attended, what your majors were, and then we'll segue into your role at Darton.
I started out as a criminal justice major
Okay.
here at Albany State in the early 1990s, and then I changed pursuits based on some personal things, and I ended up at ABAC.
Okay.
And I received an associate's in bachelor's administration there.
Okay.
Oh, no, an associate's in business administration there. And then I went on to Georgia Southwestern. And at that point, I became employed at ABAC, and so I worked and went to school at the same time, and that allowed me to take advantage of some great opportunities, being not only a student, but also behind the scenes and seeing a different perspective of what the student has, and I think that has certainly helped me as I've progressed through my career. When I finished at Georgia Southwestern, I became a student again at Albany State and received my master's in business education. I had to think for a minute what that was. It seems like
we never get out of school, do we? I know why you paused.
It's been forever
ago,
and I received that degree in 2005.
Okay.
And I knew that I always wanted to go back to school. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I did have the opportunity to apply for a degree at Columbus State University, and I started that in the fall of 2015.
Okay.
I felt very out of my element. I had been out of school for a very long time, and I tell a lot of the students that I work with, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it was a very new experience because I was having many of the feelings that they were having, and then I was having to tell them, you'll be fine, and I had to tell myself, you'll be fine.
You were talking to yourself. They didn't know.
I know, nor did I at the time. So I am about halfway complete with my EDD.
Yes. Well, congratulations on that journey. It is a lot. I'm a little bit ahead of you, and so I'm on the dissertation path right now. It's a lot, and you have to step out of yourself. And this is a great conversation that we're having, because we're going to speak to actually the demographic or the population of students that you work with on a regular basis. And so you have a wealth of experience that you can then share with them. But I think we need to give ourselves permission to say that, no, this is not an easy process, but you still continue on the path. And a lot of times we wait for that ideal opportunity or circumstance before we'll begin to pursue it, whatever it is that we're aspiring to achieve. And that day never seems to arrive, that ideal day. So you just have to go forward and make it happen.
It does. I mean, just like many couples wait until the perfect time, or they have enough money to have a child or buy a home, and life doesn't give us that many times. Sometimes you just have to jump in and say, this is what I'm going to do.
Most often you do there, and if you have the luxury of preparing for it, or that prep time, then that's great. But those windows of opportunity are oftentimes very few, and you just have to make it happen while you're going along. So I love the idea. I did not know that you worked simultaneously while going to school. And a lot of times, again, people just don't make or take that step because they think that I just need to do one thing, which is to go to school. And that's not what reality oftentimes presents for a lot of individuals. And so you then found yourself at the time, Darton State College. So tell us a little bit about that opportunity, what you did, and has that changed now that we've gone through a consolidation, your role?
My role has indeed changed.
Okay.
And sometimes we talked about, things happening. I saw the opening at Darton State College for the job that I received when it was a part-time position. And I told my husband, that is the perfect job for me. It just needs to be full-time. And about 18 months later, it was open again as a full-time position, and all of those pieces just fell into place. So I applied. I knew from the very start that is my job.
I love it.
And I just put my heart and my soul in that, and it actually occurred, and I was chosen to fill that role, and it has been such a blessing. I have met some wonderful, wonderful people that I've dealt with on campus and also as students. But with the consolidation, I'm shifting to more of an adult learner focus. I'm the Director of Military and Adult Education, so we're still serving veterans and active duty, independents, National Guardsmen. But for me personally, that shift is going more to adult learners, and there'll be others in the department that will be a resource for those other populations.
Great. Now, let's see. So your title when you were, when it was Darton State College, what was your specific role? What was the title that you held?
I was Director of Military and Adult Education.
Okay, very good. Okay, and so sounds like it's just reversed now here at Albany State. Did you say?
It's the same title,
okay,
yes.
Okay. Time for a second cup of coffee then. I missed that. One of the things that I said, and this is kind of a theme, I had an interview prior to yours, and she was a phenomenal young woman like yourself, and she said something that has just really struck with me, or the reoccurring theme was just being intentional and having a conversation with yourself, if you will, and saying, this is what I'm going after. So when you said that you looked and you saw the advertisement, this is a job, this is my job, and you kind of waited for the right timing, or it needs to be this way, and you almost spoke that into existence. And so you and we had former boss Gary Barnett. And I don't know if he knows this, so I'll have to share this link with him. But my job when I started at Darton at the time, I was running a scholarship program for African American males, and it was supposed to be a pilot program. It was grant-based, and so when I went for the interview, they were very clear, and they explained to me, this may be a temporary job. We don't know if it will be long-term. And in my mind, and I said to myself, it will be long-term. I'm going to make sure that it's long-term. And I committed to that, as you just spoke of earlier, and hit the ground running. And you have to create opportunities for yourself, and oftentimes teach the organization why this is a necessary component. Certainly the case with you. We have a lot of non-traditional students that show up within the world of higher ed, and you help explain to them or teach them that this is doable. You can have a family, you can work full-time, part-time, and pursue your degree. So share with the viewers who may be out there and still having some angst or unclear as to how I can achieve. I've always wanted to be an attorney or go to medical school, but I don't know if I can do it at the age of 30 and 45. And you're there to say, yes, you absolutely can, and here's how we can map that out for them. Share with our viewers.
Yes,
process.
they absolutely can. A saying that I love is that you are never too old to dream a new dream. So regardless of your 30, regardless of your 35, if your dream is to be a lawyer, then it all starts with one step. And that's one thing that I focus on in my department, is that we're here to help you with that first step.
Great.
And the second step, and the third step, and as many steps as it takes until you get to the point that you feel comfortable in managing things on your own. And it's hard to manage if you're working full-time and you have a family and you're trying to add school to the mix. It's very hard, but it's an investment in yourself, and whether or not that's a good investment or a bad investment depends solely on you. And it's great to have that support from your family and your friends, who maybe a spouse who will take the kids out to the park while you study, or let you go to the library and just have some peace and quiet, or maybe have sandwiches 3 nights a week, or a child who does dishes. All of that is support and helping you achieve what you want. But it all starts with you. And even if you don't have that, yes, there's some barriers there, but you have to find it in yourself to still carry on, because it's the dream that you have.
Is there a difference between you're working with two demographics, your adult learners and then your veterans? And so, what are the similarities between those two, and then what are the differences? And some of them may be very obvious, of course, veteran status and adult, but just explain what those similarities may be and those not so distinct differences.
Many of our veterans are adult learners. They have been in the military for maybe 4 to 6 years, so they do fall in that category of 25 or older. A lot of them, the adult learners, much like the veterans, they're afraid. The veterans have a particular military culture, and that's very rigid, and they're afraid to step out and do something without someone telling them, this is what you do, this is what you're supposed to do, this is your next step, because they've had that drilled in them for their entire military career.
Sure.
So there's apprehensions for different reasons, sometimes with the military than for your typical civilian adult learner.
Yes.
But at the root of it, I believe, is that sometimes they just need that helping hand.
Very good, and you provide that. So, tell me what the initial steps will entail. I know you're kind of on the circuit or the tour, and you're trying to educate the community beyond the Dougherty County area, but the opportunities that await them here at Albany State University. And so you're on the lecture circuit in the Crisp region. I'm excited about that. So what will some of the tips, what will that guidance look like for those that you're trying to educate?
The tips will be take one step at a time. Start with the application for financial aid. That often takes the longest. Make sure that you have the correct information there. You're sending that to the correct school. The application process for admissions. And sometimes there's placement testing. There are tools online that will help you or a student perform better in those environments. So certainly those are encouraged. Within my department, we offer that one-on-one assistance. So if you're afraid to take that first step, or you're not sure where to even start, I'm maybe speaking a different language in talking about the FAFSA and the admissions application and AccuPlacer and all of that, call, make an appointment, come in, and one-on-one within an hour and a half, we can help you do all of that. We request transcripts, make sure that you've checked boxes that are easy to check, make sure you live with the to-do list of responsibilities, and then you can check back with us.
Excellent. You just reminded me, it can be a very daunting process. Not even so much from that's one aspect, the sitting down and making the commitment and the sacrifice, because you are going to take away from some family time. You are going to sacrifice some personal time. But I've been in higher ed for, it's going on 15 years. And so I still have some days where it sounds like a foreign language to me when I start speaking to colleagues about, well, they'll need to take this step. But it's making also the commitment to just asking those questions and not being concerned about, does this sound like a ridiculous question, or will they look at me strange, or or am I making the impression that I'm not ready for this experience? And so you have to step over that mindset. And just say, I'm open. I don't, there are a lot of things that I don't understand. And sometimes even starting off the conversation that way. Bear with me. I'm known for that. Bear with me. I'm trying to understand this process. And so if I say something that may not sound right, please be patient with me. And so just a lot of those practices that we use in our everyday life are also applicable to this journey. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you approach, I've noticed this about you in terms of your role, that you give a little special attention to this demographic. And again, because it is a whole transitional process. And so particularly with your veterans, they're leaving a world that we may not ever fully know because we've not walked that path, and now they're having to step into something totally different. So walk us through that process. How do you educate them or guide them?
It comes from a very deep place in me. There were people who helped me along the way, so I feel there's a need for me to pass that goodness on. And so many times it's just, what do you need? Maybe, like you said, they don't know what they need. And sometimes I say, you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you don't even know enough to ask an intelligent question, and that's okay.
Yes.
I want you to feel comfortable when you come into my department and asking questions and and saying, I don't know. And that's what we're here for.
Sure.
Because we do this as part of our everyday life.
Yes.
Filling out a FAFSA is not a huge task for us. Just like heart surgery for
right.
a cardiologist is not a huge task. They do that every day. So it's very much just what we're familiar with becomes our norm and becomes second nature to us, and we can just pass that on and really create an ease with that student or that prospective student. Hey, we're going to get this done and we're going to get it done together.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you create kind of a holistic experience for them. So one of the things that I recall is that you sought funds to have a lounge for the veterans over at we're changing names all the time, the Gillianville West Campus. I don't want to get my hands spanked, but which is the former Darton State College, because you saw that there was a need for them to be able to just kind of congregate and be able to share some experiences and to help be a motivator and a mentor to those that have similar paths. And then you regularly have a career fair that's tailored toward them. What are some of the things that they can look for, the adult learners and the veterans, as we prepare to walk into fall semester?
We do have a military lounge on the West Campus, the Gillianville campus, and we also have an adult learner lounge on that campus as well. We are working for space to have both of those lounges available on the East Campus or as well, the Radium Springs campus. We do have a resource center on the East Campus that has a small lounge area and also a computer lab for veterans and military students. We have a brand new grant from the Department of Education that it has allowed us to serve veterans in a very different way than we have ever had before, and it's great to have that opportunity and have Miss Santee Archer in that role, that she's going to really create a great experience for our students who are veterans and help them be successful.
Good.
And we are super excited about having that available to our students.
As you should be, as you should be. Well, I'm excited that you will continue in your efforts. As I said before, I've always observed you're always passionate about this group and advocating for their success as they matriculate and certainly earn their degrees. So much so, you're now is that your dissertation topic? Are you going to focus on them and how you can help improve and engage them in the higher ed process?
My dissertation is on transitioning veterans as they enter college.
Yeah,
so yes.
Yeah, well, you'll have a wealth of knowledge.
I hope so.
Yeah, you will. I'm excited about what you continue to do, and elated that we had this opportunity to engage. I learned a lot. I did not know that was your background, and that you were still are an adult learner, and we all should be. I think once we get past that education is a lifelong pursuit, and whether you are trying to earn a degree or just advance in your career or in what we all should be focused on is being greater contributors to this global society. And so you have to learn constantly in order to do that. So that is certainly what you've been demonstrating throughout your roles at both of the institutions. So thank you on behalf of once was Darton State College and now Albany State University for your contributions.
Thank you. It's my pleasure every day.
I can tell. That's a good thing. We've got the right person in the role.
Thanks.
Viewers, thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Realizing Potential. I'm Wendy Wilson, and I will see you next time.